Okay, so this video is meant for Algebra 1. We have our summative assessment coming up on Monday, and this is an extended response question. Very good question that, again, I invite you to press play and pause and try it yourself as I go through it myself. It says the Environmental Awareness Club is going to plant a garden on the front lawn of the school. Henry suggests a garden in the shape of a square. Theona suggests a rectangular shape. So I'm going to circle those two. Square and rectangle. That's going to kind of be like our overall theme of the day. Area of a square and rectangle. Okay? Alright, so number one, it says Henry's plans include a square garden. So again, this is word square. With an area of x squared plus 12x plus 36 meters squared. Write expressions for the length and width of the square garden. So again, over here, I'm going to draw a picture of a square. Let me do it in orange so you can see better. In a square, each side is the same, so we call it S. And the area of a square is S squared. So what that means is x squared plus 12x plus 36 must be able to be written as something squared, which means this is a perfect square trinomial. Perfect square trinomial. My shorthand. So we should be able to write this down as two binomials of the same form. Now C is positive and your B is positive, so that means your two signs will be positive and positive. And x squared is x and x, 36 is 6 and 6, and there we go. X plus 6, x plus 6. That equals x plus 6 squared. So it says write expressions for the length and width of the square garden, so they are the same. Each of them is x plus 6 meters long. X plus 6 meters. There we go. Alright, next problem here involves this picture. So it says, a drawing of the square garden shows a length of 12 meters. What is the width of the garden, of the square garden? What is the value of x? What is the total area of the square garden? So on this picture, I'm going to go ahead and put x plus 6 and x plus 6 for your length and width, because those are the side lengths of the square up above. Well, if the actual length is 12, well, that means that x plus 6 equals 12. This side is equal to 12, which means subtract 6, your value of x is 6. So there's the value of x. Now I'm going a little out of order, I apologize. It said what is the width of the square garden? Well, the width and length are the same. So if the length is 12, the width is also 12. So this is the first. So the width also equals 12 meters. So the width is 12 meters. That means x is 6. And it says what is the total area of the garden? Again, the garden is a square. Area equals s squared. Area equals 12 squared. The area is 144 meters squared. Alright, so there's the square portion of our extended response question. Problem 3 says, Theona's plans include a rectangular garden. I'm going to put a box around this word rectangular with an area of x squared plus 14x, or x squared plus 14x plus 24 meters squared. Write expressions for the length and width. So now, if I have a rectangle, now your length and width are different. Let's call this the length and this the width. So now when I factor this, it's not a perfect square trinomial, because the area is equal to the length times width. So this area of x squared plus 14x plus 24 has to equal something times something, a length times width. Well, let's go ahead and factor this. GCF, there's just a 1 out here and there's no x over here, so the GCF is just 1. So now I'm looking at this C, and C is positive. That means the same signs. That means I'm going to add, and since the B is positive, they'll both be positive. X plus x plus. Notice I'm not using the x method because there is no number in front of x squared. This is one of the simpler kinds. And now I'm looking for the factors of 24 that add to 14. 24 is 1 and 24. That's 25. 2 and 12. There we go. There's my 14. My magic numbers are 2 and 12. So I do not know which one is which. So typically my length is bigger. So I'm going to say that my length is equal to x plus 12 meters, and my width is equal to x plus 2 meters. There we go. So notice they are different because it's a rectangle. Alright, now problem 4, let me scroll down just a little bit. It says, a drawing of the rectangular garden shows that the length is 6 meters longer than the length of the square garden. What is the width of the rectangular garden? How much shorter is the width of the rectangular garden than the square garden? So now on this picture, what it's telling me is that the length is 12 more than it was for the square. So that means that this length right here is equal to 18 meters. Well, I'm going to assume again that the length is longer, so this x plus 12 meters is that measurement, and then the width is x plus 2 meters. So that means that x plus 12 has to equal 18, and again, subtract 12, the x value remains 6, which means if I plug 6 in for x for the width equals 6 plus 2. The width is 8 meters. So there is the width. What is the width of the rectangular garden? And then how much shorter is the width of the rectangular garden than the square garden? Well, the square's width, if we look above, was 12. So for the square, W equaled 12 meters. For the rectangle, W equals 8 meters, so that is 4 meters short. 12 minus 8 is 4. 4 meters shorter. So to answer the questions, what is the width of the rectangular garden? Yes, the width is 8 meters. And then how much shorter is the width of the rectangular garden than the length? Than the width of the square garden, and it's 4 meters. And now lastly, find the perimeter of each garden in terms of x. Alright, so let's start with the square. So the perimeter of a square is equal to 4s because all of the sides are the same. So the perimeter is 4 times, and that side length, if we look up above, was x plus 6. Distribute the 4. The perimeter is 4x plus 24, and perimeter is in meters. Now, if we look at the rectangle, for the perimeter of a rectangle, because only opposite sides are the same, we take 2 L's plus 2 W's. 2 times, and again, if I look above, the length was x plus 2, and the width was, the length was x plus 12, and the width was x plus 2. So 2 times x plus 12 times 2 plus 2 times x plus 2. Distribute the first 2, I get 2x plus 24. Distribute the second 2, I get positive 2x plus 4. Combine your like terms. The 2x's combined, you get 4x. The two numbers, 24 and 4, combined to get 28, and that would be meters. And if you compare these two, you can see that the rectangle is going to be 4 meters longer. Its perimeter is 4 meters longer than the square, because everything else is the same, except the 24 and the 28, there are 4 extra meters. So again, this is just good problems to practice, the type of problem. This gosh, this is so many parts kind of thing. It gets you in the mindset. So hopefully you watched. Hopefully you learned something. Hopefully it pays off for your test on Monday. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you on Monday.